Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
I am so excited. I've been craving doing this podcast with you.
Really?
I need an hour with my boo.
Okay.
I'm talking as though no one's listening, but
sure.
always can't help myself. I want to know, is anyone listening?
Yeah, this comes from a couples therapist in British Columbia, Canada.
Why did I just get very nervous?
You should be.
Okay.
No, not at all. Hello. From a therapist in BC, I love listening to the fun dynamic between you two. I even love when you bicker, as the love and respect is palpable, even in your disagreements. I'm sure other people have responded to your discussion about ethics. Professional ethics would, hopefully, keep therapists from sleeping with their clients.
But if they're really hot.
You should use your license if you do this, which I don't know what that means.
Lose your license?
Oh, that's not in there. I bet that's what it meant.
Yeah.
You should, let's say, lose your license if you do this. I think I have a 5-year rule in my code of ethics. Others say 2 years. This is very different than personal values are ethics.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Here, let me just finish the review and then
Okay,
I'll circle back. I know. Well, because I'm just like,
Okay.
And Love Island ethics are another story. My guess is they're encouraged to create drama, maybe.
Probably.
Nice therapist voice, Elizabeth. This was harkening back to when I think we were role-playing a little bit. Although I hope I don't sound quite that sappy. You were both hilarious, though. I laugh out loud as I walk to work listening to you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Okay. This is so fascinating. The code of ethics is interesting. I guess there are different codes of ethics, maybe depending on what
field and country you're from
or degree you're getting in. You know, if you're a doctor, I have no idea.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
But hi, everyone. We wanted to shout out our sponsor for this week's episode. It's sponsored by OneSkin, target tissue engineering, data analysis, and cutting-edge longevity science. For a limited time, get 15% off. Use code NLR when you check out at oneskin.co. Start your new scientifically proven skincare routine today with OneSkin. It reminded me of the person who wrote in doing like total gymnastics, trying to justify the age of the person that they can date.
Yes.
The therapist being like, well, it's 2 years if they're a 8 or a 9.
So is this to say, though, a code of ethics, though, is that an official document? It seems like what they're saying is I think it's a 5-year rule in my code of ethics, meaning the book that they have of like
when they got their degree, they kind of signed on to this code of ethics. And, you know, listen, that does make sense to me. If you have stopped seeing your client and 4 years later you run into them at mini golf.
5 years.
5 years later. Well, okay, let's say 4. And she said sometimes 2.
No. I guess others say 2 years, maybe other books or
That's
something.
what I'm saying.
But for this person...
Okay, so...
But I thought this meant like you have to do therapy for at least 5 years with them before you can sleep with them. To like really know if it's appropriate or not. To really have trust.
Okay, let's say...
That's not what this is?
No. Let's say that 4 years later, you run into them at mini golf. You're like, how are you doing? And they're like, really, really well. You know, I know it's been a while, but I've been thriving. Mm-hmm. All of my mommy issues are taken care of.
Okay.
And I ended up divorcing.
Okay, so then you're the therapist and you're like, oh boy, because you also know that this patient of yours had a real mini golf kink and likes to fuck at mini golf courses. So you have this insider knowledge of like, I'm going to bang this person right now.
Before we continue on this, I wanted to shout out our sponsor.
Wait, hold on. I don't know if we can do that, actually.
Okay. Okay, let's carry on then.
I think there is a code of ethics with our ad reads.
Okay, so Then, wait, can we figure out real fast, like, gender and sexual orientation?
Yeah.
Let's say that it's all women. Let's do that. So this woman drops her ball. Okay.
I'm listening.
And the therapist, who just got some very cool new glasses, is like, has amazing vision and is like, oh, it's over there behind that bush.
Behind the bush.
Let me get it for you, Cassandra.
Okay.
And so she goes over and she bends over, and Cassandra's like, holy shit.
Look at the ass on this lady.
Yes, Dr. Feldmeyer is like, holy shit.
Is what?
Was she always this fit?
Oh, okay.
Was she always this hot?
Okay.
Wow. Has
Wait,
she been
so
working out in the last 5 years?
The
What's going on
patient
with
has
her?
never seen Feldmeyer in this light ever?
Yes.
This is brand new.
Cassandra and Roland were, having problems.
Mm-hmm.
Roland would always make Cassandra feel kind of beneath him.
Especially on the mini golf course.
Especially, and that's like her special place.
Yeah, she loves it.
Because that's where she gave her first hand job.
Yes.
As a teenager.
Yes.
And and so Roland always like made a point of making her feel shitty about herself on the mini golf course, and also like would always be like, let's go play mini golf. That was what was weird about it. He was constantly pushing mini golf on her.
Very complicated.
And in sessions, Cassandra was like, I sometimes describe myself when I was not in the best relationship as being sepia toned. Her life was kind of sepia toned when she was in that therapist's office, and she was on the couch, and she was giving her relationship with Roland everything she had. And
she wanted to make it work.
She wanted to make it work. And Dr. Feldmeyer was just a vehicle there to help her get her goal, which was to make it work with Roland.
Did Feldmeyer ever have a thing for Cassandra, though?
No. I think she had a soft spot in her heart. And objectively, Cassandra's gorgeous.
Yes.
Which is part of why I think Roland was so insecure and was tearing her down.
Okay.
He knew that she was out of his league.
Oh, interesting.
So this is kind of a revelation. And Cassandra's been, it's been 3.5 years since she officially filed divorce papers.
Uh-huh.
And she avoided the mini golf course like the plague for so long. But she's finally stepping back into her power.
Nice.
And so she's been going there like 2 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
And this just happened to be this one time where kind of magic happened.
Whoa. So she sees Feldmeyer. Feldmeyer's the one that's getting the ball behind the bush? Right?
Yeah.
So Feldmeyer bends over.
Yeah.
Cassandra's like, ooh la la, wow, wow, wow. Then what happens next?
Cassandra goes down to like get the ball. Feldmeyer's holding it out, but there's like a slope and some slippery turf.
Uh-huh.
And Cassandra kind of
slips. The turf is wet.
The turf is wet. And she like kind of slips towards Feldmeyer as she's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And she kind of collapses into her, and their titties brush against each other.
Oh, okay.
And they kind of both like, laugh like, whoops. And
really?
Dr. Feldmeyer like stabilizes Cassandra, but they are close together.
And she's firm in her stance. Like, she's also, not only is the firmness, it also is like, Cassandra's realizing, whoa, you've been here for me this whole, like I really could rely on you. You are sturdy and fit.
Yes.
In all ways, emotionally and physically, every way possible.
So grounded. So grounded. She's tree trunked to the earth.
When the turf is wet, she can still play ball.
And in that moment, Cassandra also reflects on her time in therapy with Dr. Feldmeyer and was like, she was so solidly grounded. She never foisted her opinion, which deep down was that Cassandra should leave this jerk.
Oh.
Because she wanted them to find their way together.
Okay.
And
I'm a little confused. Okay.
Whatever. But Cassandra's also just distracted because Dr. Feldmeyer has the most amazing green eyes. How did she never see that?
And she never did.
she never saw it. And it's a little cold out right now. And Cassandra's like maybe an inch taller than Dr. Feldmeyer, and she's on this kind of slope.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bottom of her breast against the top of Dr. Feldmeyer's. But they're very close together.
Yeah.
And when Cassandra laughs, it fogs up Dr. Feldmeyer's glasses. That's how close they are.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
Dr. Feldmeyer removes her glasses.
Perfect.
And holy shit, the lashes and eyes on this gal.
Wow.
And there's that moment. They're very close together.
Mm-hmm.
Their breath, when they breathe out, is like kind of mingling together. You can literally see it.
The cold air is making things pert.
And their giggles stop to that moment of, am I about to kiss this person?
But not yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Anyway, they then separate, but both of them felt it. It was palpable.
What's the age difference between how old's Feldmeyer and how old's Cassandra?
They're both in their 40s.
So are they similar ages? Is one older than the other? Is Feldmeyer her senior a little bit?
No, I think they're the same.
They're just the same
Same
age.
birthday.
They're the same. Oh, yeah, they have that in common, too, which was a surprise.
But see, from there on, they keep in touch and see each other as friends for a year.
Oh.
And Dr. Feldmeyer is an ethical person, and she went back and looked at her code and confirmed it's 5 years. And she went back and looked at the last session she had with Cassandra and Roland. And it was June 14th, Flag Day.
Game on.
And
Flag Day.
she timed it out. And so the first time she asked Cassandra, what she does on June 14th of the following year is, they get together sometimes and they'll go hiking or whatever. And she was like, do you want to go on a hike? It's her normal thing. Like, let's meet up at Trails Cafe and we'll go on a hike.
Okay.
And Cassandra shows up and Dr. Feldmeyer has bought her favorite iced coffee and her favorite zucchini muffin. And they're sitting down eating, and Dr. Feldmeyer reaches over and puts her hand on Cassandra's and said, hey, I want you to know I really like you a lot. I like you a lot. Can today be a date? And everything is on, and they're together ever since that.
There was more than just the zucchini muffin on the table that day. From here on out.
So many muffins.
Wow. That's great. I'm happy for them.
I am too.
And
that all feels on the up and up. It's a beautiful thing. It doesn't feel unethical. Like, it might get a little tricky when they're at their wedding. And Cassandra's conservative aunt is like, how'd you two meet anyway?
Yeah.
And
always a difficult question in these scenarios.
How so?
If you go down
therapist,
this path, if you go down this path, you have to be ready to shoulder those conversations.
Well, we know a couple, I'd say too many people who have dated or ended up with someone who was their teacher when they were in high school.
Oh yeah, we can do a handful. We do know a handful.
I always think about that. How did you two meet? Well, little Sally here was in my intro to algebra class. It's really upsetting. Says a lot about a person.
Wow.
This is not that, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I'm happy for everyone involved. I really appreciate this couple therapists hitting us up. And I'm curious. I'm surprised that this couple therapists didn't put in their personal values and ethics on their timeline. But I don't know.
I think that's something that's a case-by-case basis. Wouldn't you say your personal values and ethics kind of
with my
ebb and flow?
Wow. This is great.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm signing up for this oil painting class. Give gifted by a nobody, which is so incredible.
Love that.
Open to gifts, by the way. But I was thinking about, the talking about wanting to shake things up or whatever like that. And also kind of what path life is taking.
Yeah.
And I feel like back in the day, I think when we would, especially on Totally Mommy, I feel like we got the question a lot of like, how do I know I really want to be a mom? Or how do I know if I'm done having kids or if I want one more? Things like that.
Okay.
And I feel like the advice I gave was like, go into the future 30 years. And if you look back on your life, like, how do you envision it? What's the picture you see in your house?
Okay.
Like, imagine looking from the outside into your house. What are you seeing?
Like Peeper style.
Yeah. It's dark. The lights are on. You can see very clearly.
Yeah.
So, but I just read about this new thing, or it's not new, but someone offered a new thing for me, which is to have a photo of yourself as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Accessible.
Okay.
Ideally, like somewhere in your house.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of wondering about next steps or like if you're going to take a big risk or what you're going to do, look at that child and imagine if you were telling that child about their life now. How would they react?
Oh.
Can you talk me through you're talking to little Andy and what's he saying about your life now?
Right. So almost like in the example before this, if you're Cassandra, or no, if you're Feldmeyer, you're going to become a therapist, and then you're going to start sleeping with one of your clients.
I want to move on. You're sullying this beautiful. Please,
it's
come
complicated, though. It can't not be complicated. I just want to point that out.
I know, but I was thinking, okay, in my case, I think if I'm telling young Elizabeth, and
How old's the picture?
So I'm picturing, I have this picture of myself where I have like a perm.
You gonna cry?
Do you hear how mean that sounds?
I know, it's just because it looked like you were gonna cry. I can't not be a bully sometimes.
Oh my God. I had my little starter boobs. I'm wearing this like...
Wait, what?
I like breast buds. This is the picture I'm picturing of me.
Is that relevant?
Yes. I'm in a phase of my life.
What's really funny is if what you're going to say is like, and I want you to know you have very nice breasts in the future. And is that what you're like? Why? I don't understand why breast buds is relevant.
Because I'm like pre-pubescent, or I guess I'm early pubescent. Mm-hmm. And that was a particularly vulnerable, complicated time for me in my life. And I feel like if I were younger than that, I would be like, yay, everything. And if I were older than that, I don't know. I feel like that's the specific time in my life. I have this kind of bad perm. I'm about to enter like kind of my ugly duckling phase, which apparently kids are skipping this now. I don't know what happened to it, but
they're opting out.
I guess they're opting out, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of personal growth that happens in your ugly duckling phase. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's the time and era for me. By the way, the boobs, I have a very complicated relationship with my boobs. I know you love them and stuff, but like I could stand to have less of them. Mm-hmm. But at this phase in my life, if I were to like somehow, if I lost enough weight that they would go shrinking, then I'd have just like saggy, deflated. It's just like there's nothing to be done about it. But I guess I also, they fed my children. They're fun.
They feed your husband's soul.
Gross. Ew. You're really like, what's the word? I mean, it is sullying.
Sullying what?
I was just talking about the beauty of feeding my children.
Oh yeah, I was just piling on you were knocking your breasts down a peg or two, and then you were like, wait, hold on, I shouldn't do that to my breasts. And then you started building them back up. Your examples were more wholesome than mine.
Yeah.
But my example shouldn't, never mind.
Keep going.
I like your breasts.
You know what? Keep going.
I like your breasts.
Okay,
That's it.
whatever. Anyway, if I were to tell that Elizabeth, hey, when you're 45, you're going to start taking an oil painting class. I feel like she might be like, what?
Yes. Okay, good. I was worried you were going to be like, she would be like, oh, that makes it all okay. Okay, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
It would like exactly track with, but I need to give her the whole picture. Like, look,
There you go.
you have this amazing family. You have the best 2 kids in the whole wide world. They're so like smart and funny and so much fun to be around. You have this incredible husband who loves your boobs.
Yeah, you never needed to. You're maybe worried about this. You're in the
loves
stage
your
of
body, tops to bots.
There you go.
Yeah, and
You're taking an oil class.
you're starting to take an oil painting class. Then it's like, oh, okay. Doesn't really give me clarity, to be honest.
Let me ask you this though.
I didn't think this through before.
Is that picture? Okay. I almost feel like all of everything you said, minus the oil painting class, might sit better with breast buds than adding the oil to it. Do you know what I mean?
Please don't call her friend.
I've never heard that term before, so it's hard for me not to celebrate it right now.
Please don't call her breast buds. You haven't heard of breast buds?
No, I haven't.
They are.
The name, I think, says it all.
No.
I think I understand.
No, you should know this. They're these hard lumps.
Okay, I did not know this.
That are like the begin, and this is when you're prepubescent going to the doctor. This is like one of the first signs of like, oh, puberty is imminent because it's like the buds
makes
beginning.
Sense.
Yeah,
totally makes sense.
Okay,
I got it.
Okay.
I don't ever need to say it either ever again. Now.
Will you do it?
You ruined it for me for some reason.
Okay, good. Will you do it for Andy?
Okay.
And what age are you picturing? And
tough call. Okay, I'm gonna be. You went like a very like. You were
tender.
In a tough time, tender-hearted time.
Yes.
For me, I'm wondering what the best era would be.
You never
pick.
had a tender-hearted time.
Right? Oh, I did have tender times.
You did. What were your tender times?
Probably similar age. I had a pretty rough. Let's see. I would say the roughest times would have been like kind of when you knew me, 7th, 8th, 9th grade.
Why were those rough?
It was rough, very rough family times.
Yeah. Got it.
Very rough family times, a lot of question marks. And then we moved, and that was a tough time as well. So maybe around that time, a similar age.
Yeah.
Similar to you, I didn't even have breast buds. I was such a late bloomer. You know what I mean? My balls probably hadn't dropped yet. So Andy's little, he's a little munchkin.
Yeah.
He's a lot smaller. Maybe he's in the locker room and he's seeing all these other boys that are starting to develop, and he's wondering, why am I not developing?
So you're like 15, 16?
Is it ever... What? No.
Oh, wait,
7th
sorry.
and 8th grade.
7th, 8th. So you're how old?
12, 13,
10.
14.
Oh, okay. I couldn't do math for a second.
And so he's thinking, am I always going to be this little guy? I was okay being a little guy, but I'm probably thinking, am I always going to be the little guy? And then so the answer is, no, you're going to grow up.
You won't believe how tall you're going to end up being.
I don't know if I would say it that way.
Well, because this is overselling it.
Yeah.
But you know what, though, Andy? I remember when I re-met you in New York going, oh, he like grew.
I was tiny. Yeah,
you
I was
were
very
so
tiny.
little that I think that had you would have expected to be clocking in at like 5'3", 5'4".
Maybe. What's funny is my best friend, Josh, who I've been shouting out his fun new rock machine, we were the same size. He then really shot up.
6'3" or something.
Maybe
He
6'2".
became a model.
Let's call him 6'2".
He was on the runway in Milan.
Yeah. So
He had a big crush on me, huh?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so sweet.
So I think I would say, yeah, hey, you're doing music, which I was obsessed with when I was that age.
That's incredible.
Do you know what I mean? I would say your music. You have a beautiful wife with great breasts.
Are you going to say...
That's awesome.
Are you saying to him it's... it's Elizabeth Lame?
I don't know if... Of course. I'm going to say it's Elizabeth Lame.
And how is he going to feel?
He's going to be like, whoa, are you serious? And like, that's all. Like, whoa.
Are you going, it's not Beth Bruner?
I don't think I'm saying any of that in this.
Okay.
You're questioning these things?
Huh?
When you're having the conversation, you're questioning all these things. Like, I am doing an oil painting class. Like, when you're talking to yourself, that seems a little
There's a
weird
response.
part of the exercise. Or I guess if you are doing that, then that tells you something.
Yeah, I want to know how my younger self is reacting to the news. And in your case, you're literally telling your younger self, hey, you end up partnering up for life with breast buds.
But also you're like...
Because we were like the same age.
Okay, how about this? I love it. So I am in 7th grade, okay? Maybe I've just kind of gotten to know you, okay? You're going to partner up with breast buds, and guess what? You think what that means is like you guys are going to become high school sweethearts eventually. You're going to hit puberty in high school and like have this thing, fairy tale. No, that's not what it means. Guess what? You and breast buds part ways in about a year and a half, okay? And you're not going to see her for 15 years. You also aren't really going to hit puberty in high school. I'm sorry, pal. But rest assured, in 15 years, you're going to be living in New York City.
Whoa. New York City.
New York City. And you're going to run into her on the street. And then
Is she a hooker?
What?
Sorry.
The idea of you being a walker of the night would be, that would blow my mind. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Don't talk to yourself like that, okay?
There's nothing wrong with, sex workers.
Not what I'm saying. That was not what I was saying at all.
Okay.
I was just saying that was a weird turn for you to ascribe
Well, you
to yourself.
said you see her on the street?
Okay.
Carry on.
Okay. Anyways, I think I would be pretty compelled by the story. And then you guys are going to have a podcast? And I'd be like, what the fuck is a podcast? But yeah, you're doing music and you have 2 amazing kids and breast buds is beautiful.
Okay, we got it.
Can we call this episode breast buds or is that like too far?
I feel like that might flag some... Don't you feel like then, I don't know, putting the word breast in a title seems not good?
Okay, cool. Just know the spirit of this episode is titled Breast Buds.
Okay. Okay.
I think I'd be pretty stoked.
I love that.
I think I would be like, are you fucking serious? Like, it does seem pretty unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Whoa, that's crazy.
Oh, you just made me think, like, I have to be like, you have about 7 more years with your mom.
Great.
That would be very sad.
Yeah, that's hard. That's very hard.
Oh my God. I'm so emotional. I have been like really emotional lately.
Yeah.
Mood swings.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Yeah.
You felt it?
I felt it.
I
think
don't know
it's
what to do with it. I'm feeling like I can step outside of it and go, this is a big mood swing.
That's good that you can do that.
But it doesn't turn it off. Like, I've been having a lot of rage.
It's interesting because I'm sort of having to recalibrate myself in a few ways where I think in general, our internal monologues, people, right, is different a lot of times than what's going on. So let's even say in the past, I'm sure that 70% of what I interpret as you like being in a bad mood, maybe I'm ascribing it to me or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with me. That's something I've learned just as growing up and being an adult
Wait.
with people.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, like, I also think sometimes you think I'm in a bad mood when I'm not.
Yeah. Well, same exact thing, right?
Okay.
So like, maybe you're not even in a bad mood. Maybe you're not mad at me. Maybe I'm worried you're mad at me or something like that,
Sometimes
right?
I'm like, especially if I have like a big pitch or something coming up, I kind of go internal and
Yeah.
I like distance myself from life.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think you might take that a little bit personally.
Maybe. Yeah. Or
But that's just an example.
But I think a lot of it is just honestly misinterpretation too. We're all just selfish people thinking in terms of ourselves, right?
Right.
Now, I will say that has just been a learning thing over the years in general, that I think I've just gotten better as a human of just knowing, like, most of the time it doesn't have to do with you or whatnot, right? So that's a great thing in general. Add on to this now, I might be recalibrating a little bit, because I do sometimes notice that maybe you've been a little frustrated at times and whatnot, where I might be like, whoa, what's going on? And maybe you almost feel like I need to like check in with you or something. And yet, 10 minutes later, it's as if it's completely gone.
I know.
So I'm like, huh. So, but it's almost just like a new layer of lesson for me of like, I kind of just don't like worry or overthink about it until maybe there is like real reason or more definitive evidence of me being like, hey, are you okay? Or something like that. Not that I'm like ignoring you or your feelings or anything.
Yeah.
But it is this new layer of like, maybe I don't need to jump to any conclusions.
Just
really.
see how it plays out.
See how, because
But I hate that you're in that position to be like navigating my moods in that way. Although I guess it goes both ways, but you just don't have the same. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm in perimenopause, which before we carry on with this conversation, it is relevant that I want to shout out this week's sponsor, OneSkin.
OneSkin.
That target tissue engineering. So OneSkin is an incredible skincare routine line, and especially being in perimenopause, your skin loses elasticity. It can come out looking a little dull more than usual. Enter OneSkin. I love this line, this brand so much, especially because it's all based in science. I particularly love their eye cream, their face, eye, body, and shield that all can be used together, but their eye cream especially, which includes their proprietary peptide OS1. It's scientifically proven to target those dysfunctional cells that start to accumulate around the age of 30. Here I am, 45. And it's crushing it for me. All of OneSkin's products for the face and body, including their new mineral sunscreens, are backed by lab and clinical studies. So, OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off by going to oneskin.co and using code NLR. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. So that's 15% off at oneskin.co with code NLR. So, perimenopause. Last night in bed, you randomly pulled up.
Oh, do you want me to pull it up? It was from Time Magazine.
You said, hey, can I read out some symptoms of perimenopause? And you can say if you have them.
Yeah, I sure did.
Let's hear it.
8 signs you're in perimenopause. This is from Time Magazine. Irregular periods.
Check.
Hot flashes.
Yes.
Vaginal dryness.
Not really.
Joint pain.
Yeah, you better believe it. The shoulder.
Weight gain.
Not really.
Brain fog.
Oh my God, yes.
Mood changes.
Correct.
Oh, this part's highlighted for some reason. Can I read it? I don't know why it's highlighted.
Go for it.
Perimenopause clues often arrive in the form of mood changes. PMS symptoms sometimes worsen, and you might notice you feel super irritable or angry, or that you're crying more often. Plus, women who have postpartum depression could be at increased risk for recurrent depression during perimenopause and menopause. This doctor says, we can only take so much stress, and once it gets too heavy, it can tip us over. I always tell people that your 40s are time to fill your tank because you don't want to hit menopause with an empty tank.
So that's interesting because here's the thing that I've learned in doing a little bit of research. Oh, wait, but let's finish this out because there was a big kicker.
Oh, the last one is shattered sense of identity.
Which is like all I've been talking about nonstop for the last 3 months. So perimenopause, which is generally between 40 and 50, it can last between, I think, 6 to 10 years. Obviously different from everyone. It can start sooner, it can start later, etc. Is when your hormones start to be majorly in flux. And this is when, so I always thought menopause is like in your early 50s and your period stops and then you have all of these issues you're dealing with. The truth is, perimenopause is when all the issues start. Menopause, it's going to blow your mind, is a one-day thing. And it's the day that is 12 months after your last period.
Oh.
And if you get your period before that day, like the week before, the clock resets.
Okay.
So menopause is a one-day event. And then beyond that, you were postmenopausal.
Got it.
So like my understanding of the whole situation was way off, as I think many people's are. So perimenopause is really when your body is like going through it. And my mood swings lately have been wild. And you're right. Like I will feel so much rage and I can take a step outside of myself and go, this is not matching the situation that you're upset about, the way you feel. And then 10 minutes later, after like sitting outside or I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel totally fine.
So what I was getting at before is like my handbook, it's almost like an addendum has been added to it. That's like, and also right now, just give it a little bit more time and don't worry about any of this for a second because the weather might change drastically, sort of. So it's almost like, just like, hey, just don't worry about this. You're all right.
I think that's great. And I think you also know, actually, this has happened a few times in the last couple of weeks where if something's sitting with me, I too have addendum in my handbook where I'm like, give it time. And if it's still bugging you, get past this like kind of irrational feeling. And if it is still bugging you, then I will bring it up to you and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't like, though, you're my safe person.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of it is directed towards you, which is not unusual. I read in these menopausal forums, like women are like, I'm about to ruin my marriage because this is so out of control. I'm hopefully not bringing that kind of dysfunction into our relationship, but I think similar to young children who will be fine all day at school and then come home and lose their fucking shit.
Yeah.
You're my safe person.
Sure.
I know without question we're going to work through it. So unfortunately, this is something I'm trying to really take to heart is when these mood swings happen, the natural instinct is to place blame on something that's not you. And unfortunately, frequently,
I'm the target sometimes. Would you say, I'm curious this morning, what was your mood like this morning? Because this is how I interpreted some of it. I'm laying in bed. It's a Sunday, and I'm sleeping in a little bit. And our son has to eat some like special nuts concoction for his allergies, right? So I'm hearing you like banging the mortar thing of the nuts, which is like, oh, that's the sound of it. But I'm hearing that, and then after that, I hear like, just like you're on a rampage in the house, like cleaning stuff and like just like there's a vibe. Now, was I right on picking up the vibe, or was it just like, or were you like, I'm getting stuff done today, or was it like, I'm gonna get this fucking shit done this morning? Was there a vibe at all? I just want to know. I'm just curious.
Okay, here's the truth of it.
That's what I want.
The nuts, no, there was no vibe. I woke up at like 6:30 and I started my day, and I have a long to-do list today, and I was like, I'm going to attack it, and I was just feeling very productive.
Yeah.
The vibe changed when, I think you'll know, you sensed this, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
There was a pan that was like gummy because it wasn't cleaned properly.
Yeah.
And here's my thinking. Lately, I mean, I would say I am unloading the dishwasher 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, a lot of it hasn't been coming out clean.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not good because you should be able to just put, it's your eye. Are your eyes okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, are you rolling your eyes?
No.
Okay.
My leg's like kind of falling asleep. So I made a funny face. I'm like rubbing my leg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm so bored.
Anyway, some of it hasn't been clean, which is fine. But I brought it to you. Yes, I brought it up to you yesterday. Like, see this bowl? It's not clean. And I feel like I wasn't coming at it. Hang on.
This was fantastic.
I wasn't coming at it aggressively. It's just, I was more like, I cannot believe how not clean this bowl is. It's covered in oil.
Yeah.
It just went through the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Why is it like this?
Yeah.
You read that as me going, it's not clean. Like, coming at you really
it was also
aggressively.
so confusing because you did come with an energy that I don't think you realize. But you're like, because we've talked about, especially with like, make some tomato saucy dishes lately. Like, for some reason, we got to rinse those tomato sauce off the dishes before they go in the dishwasher or it'll get like caked on. But you come over with the silver bowl that I had made. I prepared like roasted broccoli, so like with the oil in it, right?
Yeah.
But you come over and you like put it in my face, and you're like, "We have to rinse this stuff off." So I'm looking at the bowl for like broccoli pieces, but I see none of it. Now, you did have a good point though, but I didn't understand it. You're like, "Look, there's oil," and then I was like, "Oh," but you showing me the bowl. The oil just looked like it was kind of a wet thing you took out. No, but it was just funny because you're like, look at this. And I'm like, it just looks wet. I don't know what this lady's talking about.
This crazy lady. Okay. Then you touched it and you realized there's oil in it. But by then you were annoyed with me.
Because you're putting it in my face.
I know. I also think like the physicality of you sitting down and me standing over you trying to, because I was putting it closer because I could tell you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so that set this precedent that this morning, and I am, I'll be honest, sick of having to re-clean all of the things not getting clean.
Yeah.
So this morning when the pan you used last night for dumplings or whatever was all gummy and hadn't been cleaned, even though it was in the dry rack, I thought, that he's going to be annoyed that I'm bringing it up to him because he was annoyed yesterday because of the bowl and like, but I shouldn't have to be annoyed and walking on eggshells to bring up to him that this pan is gummy. Like, it's something like I shouldn't have to re-clean all of these things. And like, there's a more efficient system. And I think he'll be open to hearing it. Like, I was playing out how...
But you were more like, he ruined the pan is how you came to me about it.
Oh, okay. Well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
I thought I came to you about it in such a gentle... not ruin the pan. I was like, you need to figure out a new way to clean this. You read it as me going, you ruined the pan? Never in a million was that part of it.
Oh, great. So you don't think the pan's ruined at all?
No.
Oh.
I just knew like your old soap and water dog and pony show wasn't going to do it. It was like, you need to... this is gummy. It's not going to get off. But I came to you and was like, hey, look at this. It's gummy. Like, I think you need... like, I gave it a lot of thought. Really was careful about how I brought it up to you.
Okay, yeah.
So there was no vibe other than me kind of going through that whole dance of like, how do I say this?
Oh, okay, sure.
This seems to be a pattern. On the heels of the whole bowl incident yesterday, I feel like I need to tread lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Got it.
But the nuts, here's the thing with the nuts. So
I didn't think it wasn't that the nuts, like that you're in a bad mood about the nuts. It was just like the nuts woke me up, and then I heard the rest of the stuff. It was like, I was like, oh, she's in get
I
it
didn't
done
realize the
zone.
nuts were waking you up. I'm sorry. No, I just really wanted to get those nuts finely ground because it goes down easier for him.
Sure, yeah. Anyway, so how was your mood this morning is what I'm getting at.
It was good.
Yeah. Well, because then I did know. Then I came outside and you're like, I want to tell you about my astrology. And I was like, oh, okay.
See, I hate that you feel like, but I guess we both do in some ways.
Sure.
This
No,
is
but
just
I
being
didn't- I
considerate
didn't
the
really-
dance of marriage, I guess.
Yeah, but I didn't really. This morning, my interpretation of this morning was just like get out of her way
She's
because she's
hormonal.
getting shit done. It wasn't
Oh.
even like. It wasn't even like you were in that bad of a mood, but it was just like you were in a zone. To not be fucked with that zone.
Well, okay, here's the thing. I'm just going to be honest because no one talks about this, but I've been spending a lot of time in perimenopause Reddit. I am on a birth control, Loestrin FE, which is not hormone replacement therapy, but it is hormones in a pill form that override my body's own hormones. And I think I've talked about this. I haven't had a period in like 7 months or something crazy.
So will you be in menopause if you don't have one 5 months from now?
No, I think because of the pill, like I would have to go off the
Got
pill
it.
to see when that lands.
Gotcha.
But the pill has been doing pretty well by me up until just now. I'm feeling my moods are all over the place. I'm feeling very emotional. The shattered sense of identities part of it is real. This is coinciding with a time in my life where I'm not working. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's also a ton of great stuff going on in my life, and I feel very, very fortunate. But I might have to go off this pill and play around with hormone replacement therapy if the mood situation doesn't get under control.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So I'm trying first because I really don't want to do that because similar to your journey with finding the right ADHD medications,
Yeah, pain
I
in the
think
ass.
that's going to be a huge hormonal, like I'm entering and like brace yourself.
Sure, yeah.
And we should talk to the kids about it because I think it's going to be some kind of new fresh hell.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm trying to find ways of dealing with these mood swings.
How often do you find them happening to you? Because I'm not with you all the time. You're on this ride. Are you like, what the fuck, like a lot of the time? Like, why am I flip-flopping or why am I all over the place? Or is it more subtle than that?
Well, I think it's been, so on my pill pack, there are the 4 days where you're supposed to basically have your period.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not getting my period, I still take those 4 days. And my mood swings go bananas like right before that and during those 4 days. And I'm just coming out of that.
So like a typical PMS like
Yes.
thing.
So
Yeah.
I think that it's particularly heightened right now. I'm really going to keep track of it this month. And like if I have any of these kind of rage pockets,
Yeah.
I'm going to write it down and take note of it and see. I need to start collecting data so that if I do go into my doctor and I'm like, look,
Yeah.
things are changing and not in a good way, I have data.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do. So I don't really know.
Great. You know that I did this not premeditated, but after the fact, when I first started trying different medications, I had a daily journal for everything, for everyone that I tried. So I could really, because
wow.
you do forget and you are
Yeah.
like, wait, what was it like yesterday? Like if you don't write it down,
Right.
it gets too cloudy up there.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, crazy.
But I very much appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
You're on this journey with me. I mean, on this Reddit, I'm like, Lordy. Now, the good news is there are plenty of women who are like post-menopausal. Life is so much better. Like
Oil painting.
the perimenopause, yeah, they're becoming so good at oil painting. The perimenopausal years, like, were somewhat hellish.
Yeah.
And if you go through the list of symptoms, I mean, it's much longer than the one you just read. And it's like, yeah, this does not sound like a fun time to be in. But post-menopause, not for all women, some women continue to deal with some things, but is like glorious for many women. So
Well, that's nice to hear because you do think of, as a dumb man, you hear of menopause being like the bad thing, sort of. But what a gift it would be to women if you're like, guess what? Now you finally don't have to deal with your period, and you know what? You feel all right.
And also, I think we have hormone replacement therapy, and I guess there's some controversy around it, and of course there is. But I think when you're working with a good menopause educated physician and can find your way through it to help you through these things, it's much easier.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm scared about post-menopause is sex drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned, I think my friend had something she put up her butt, testosterone gets her very horny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about what's that all about? But for post-menopause, I don't want to lose the sex drive I've got. I feel like, I need all of the drive I have to meet your insatiable appetite.
Well, that's interesting to me because now I don't think this is necessarily a horny thing at all, but you do seem kind of dick obsessed lately, as in the fact that I truly think that you look at every package that is presented in front of you through the pants, you keep noticing if there's ever pee dribble on a man on the pants. You clocked it on, and we were watching an episode of what show is it? That French show, L'Agence, the agency. It's like a real estate. It's like Selling Sunset in France, but with a normal family. But you're like, oh my god, look, someone's got a little pee drip on his pants, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And are you just staring at every I think you stare at every bulge you see.
No, okay.
And not even bulge. You're looking at bulge zone of every man you come across. Is that true. A perimenopausal symptom?
That is not true.
I think it is.
Perimenopausal. That's not true at all. In that case, you and I had been talking about the different sons in that family and how there's one who is objectively very, very good looking, and all of the women he's dealing with seem to be into him. Okay. And I was wondering, is that big dick energy? What are we working with? The other son, we like more. He has more personality. The one that's so good looking is kind of a dud. And I was shocked to see that he was meeting up with someone to show them a house, and there was pee. And I was right. We zoomed in on his pants.
I think you're right. And I don't know how you could see the pee. But you're noticing it's not just this.
What's another example?
You're obsessed is the example.
No,
I just
give
feel
me
like
one. I'm not, and I don't want guys who are out in my life. I'm not looking when I'm dealing with people in the world at their pants.
Well, I think you're not looking as long as the pants aren't exposed. I think if the pants are exposed, you're looking.
No, I'm not.
You have a problem like us guys have at looking at breasts. You're checking out I don't even know what it's called, what you're doing. And do all women do it?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't do it though. What is one other example besides this pee stain, which was notable?
It was not notable. You couldn't even see it. You had to be focusing so hard.
Multi-million-dollar home.
How often have you noticed me have a little pee dribble on my pants and not mentioned it?
Oh, I would mention it.
Would you?
Okay. You can't call me dick obsessed and just have this one measly watching TV moment.
Okay. Here's the thing. I'm going to give you that. That's a great point you just made. It's watertight, that point you made. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem here is that this tank, I know, is about to burst wide open because I know that there's more. I feel your energy, and I feel like there's so many more examples that I can't grab right now.
Okay.
I feel like I've pointed it out to you more than that. I feel like that was the tip of the iceberg where you said that. I'm like, what is going on with you? Are you just always looking at that area?
I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, if there's a real estate agent who should be looking his best,
So you're just checking out everything. You want to just be
Yes,
making
I'm doing
sure
tops to bots. Is there a hair out of place? Are the shoes tied well? Is there pee-pee?
Okay,
Like,
last question. Answer this honestly. Have you ever noticed a pee dribble stain on any other man in real life ever? Like out in the world, have you ever noticed that?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Just like, have you ever noticed a pit stain? Have you ever
Yeah.
noticed breast milk leaking?
Very rarely.
Okay, well, same. Same. Samesies. I don't like you saying I'm dick obsessed.
I retract that. I think it is more.
I'm dick curious.
I was going to do you better than that.
What were you going to say?
But maybe that's the perfect name for it. It's more like your dick curious about this behind the pants area. Like I don't actually.
I wish someone would do an actual study. A woman who does a study, and if I were a scientist, I would do this where it's because this is my curiosity. This all of these stereotypes of like the guy in the red Ferrari having a small penis and I'm so fascinated about the correlation between penis size and look and girth and all that shit to how it shapes a man's personality. Is there any truth to that? We have all of these tropes we're walking around.
Sure.
It truly could not be less sexual
For you.
for me.
But are you picturing what it also, because I didn't necessarily think this, are you really like picturing what it looks like and imagining like, oh, I wonder if it's this kind and this size and whatnot?
Sometimes, but not really. But I mean, if you mention it, you're like, okay.
It's just falling asleep.
What was that show we watched where everyone was naked and you couldn't see their faces?
Oh, yeah, the British show. Yeah. I forget, but yeah, you're naked here.
That like kind of blew my mind.
Different shapes,
First
different
of
sizes.
all, vaginas.
A lot of different shapes, different
You
looks,
know, you
cuts.
grow up with yours and you kind of think this is what everyone's working with. And you hear over time, like, people have different vaginas and stuff, and you're like, sure.
Yeah.
But the differences blew my mind.
Really?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
And just from looking, like, you're not looking at someone, with their legs, just looking at someone just standing in front of you
Yeah.
and looking at it. They do kind of close-up shots, but
Yeah.
you're looking head on.
Yeah.
Even just that, I'm like, wow, things are really, really different. There's a lot of variation. Dicks, I felt like there was almost less variation,
Oh, interesting.
but I was often surprised that, I have this theory that I can kind of tell. And that show, I think, proved me wrong a few times.
Sure.
And so that's just kind of...
I'm not much of... I feel like there's kind of a code...
Vulva, I should say.
Sure, vulva. There might be a code of ethics in the
code of ethics.
men's room, sort of.
Uh-huh. Is it a 2-year or 5-year code of ethics?
This is just a code of ethics of like, you're not dick looky-loos in the men's bathroom at the urinal. You know what I mean? It's just like, you just don't do that. Now, I think there probably are some people that do, you know what I mean? But I found myself the most compelled I've ever been to be a looky-loo the other day because a man came in.
Weird. Okay.
Well, I didn't look.
Oh, okay.
Because I stuck to the code of ethics.
Yeah.
But a guy came in with a walker, and I was like, how is he going to do this whole thing? Because he walked up to the urinal with the walker, and then I'm like, where are you peeing?
The walker's on either side of
It's
the
like a
urinal.
full walker.
Wow. But I guess that would just be right there. Did he probably just needs one hand to
I
stabilize
don't know,
himself.
and I couldn't look, but
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to look. And then I was like, where
But that
where are you
wasn't looking
pointing?
at his penis. That was looking at
The
how
whole
he's
deal.
going to do it.
Yeah, the whole deal.
You just reminded me of, I don't really have locker room culture, or, I also still find it just so strange that men are just walking up and whipping it out in front of like there's no privacy sometimes, and it's just like
In what context? The gym?
no bathrooms,
What do you mean?
urinals.
Yeah,
You're not in
sure.
a stall.
But you're kind of like covering it up.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, one time in a locker room situation that was so, I will never do this again. Do you remember like many years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I got into swimming for a minute
Yeah.
and I was going to the public pool and swimming
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then and I, of course, because I was going swimming similar to oil painting, I went and spent $1 million getting oil paint shit. Shout out to my sister for my gift certificate.
Nice.
Oh, and also thank you to everyone for all the lovely birthday messages.
Hey-o.
That was so delightful. But back then, I went and got a speed swimsuit because I was like, now I'm a swimmer and I'm going to be Olympic level and I need to have a speed swimsuit. And then when the swimsuit gets wet, it somehow gets even like tighter on you. And so after the pool, I went to the showers and I was showering and I wanted to take my swimsuit off so that after the shower I could get dressed.
Yeah.
And so no one was in the shower but me. And it's a big open shower with like 15 shower heads.
Okay.
And there's one. Now, this was weird. Okay, so I already start taking my straps off, which is hard.
Okay.
This woman comes in. She's probably a little younger than me,
Okay.
Mid-30s. For some reason, she takes a shower head, like, not exactly across from me, but, like, across and over one. Whereas,
So she can look at you, sort of?
I don't know, but I was in the middle, so maybe she doesn't want to go all the way to either end or something. But she's showering, and I start to try to take off this swimsuit. And when I tell you, it was probably the most hideous display of human form, where I was like, it was so impossible to get off. And I was like inching it, like pushing it one down, and like parts of it are rolling, and I can't get the other side. And I'm in such a state, I get stuck with like one shoulder on, one shoulder off, like one boob out. I mean, it was a nightmare. I almost like had to ask her to help me because it was so insane. I could not get this thing off.
Okay.
And she had to sit there and watch me. And she was watching me do this for like 15. It felt like 15 minutes. I'm sure it was just a few minutes. But it was the most uncomfortable. I mean, taking a swimsuit off in front of anyone is uncomfortable.
And are the ladies naked in the shower, though? So that part wasn't weird.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty, like, you go to these Korean spas or gyms like this, and it's a very open vibe that's something I'm really not comfortable with. I haven't, like, spent enough time in those places to feel just totally, like, whatever. I'm always feeling pretty self-conscious.
Okay.
But that just reminded me of that. That was a funny...
That's wild.
Okay.
Should be ashamed of that. Or embarrassed.
Okay, well...
And never asked for help in that situation. That would have been very weird.
Very.
Very weird.
Yes.
I think that goes against the unspoken rules in the
What if I had started
room.
having a panic attack? I mean, that's so likely.
Then I think someone could help.
Yeah.
Like if you were the other person, you could only go in to help it if it really looked like you started freaking out.
Right.
And boy, what a story you would have then to tell people.
Okay. Well, on that note, good night.
Good night.